Today is September 3rd, 2025. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, I'm going to read an article here from lifenews.com, encouraging news, albeit incremental good news, but good news nonetheless. Gallup poll, the national survey company, Gallup released its annual survey on abortion in June, revealing that 43% of respondents now identify as pro-life, a 2-point increase from the previous year. The survey also showed an increase in the number of people who consider abortion morally wrong and those who believe it should be illegal or legal only under certain circumstances. Now, after Dobbs, 2022, we were told that because Dobbs was such an apocalyptic disaster for America's women, that there would be this huge backlash, and that all of a sudden, all these pro-choice or pro-abortion people were coming out of the woodwork and fighting mad. And it showed that the American public was overwhelmingly pro-choice. And the pro-abortion people launched petition drives to put referendums on state ballots, to change state constitutions to enshrine abortion rights. And several of these referendums passed. So you got the idea, the impression that there was this great surge, this great momentum on the pro-choice side, that Americans were rapidly moving in that direction of being pro-choice, being pro-abortion. Well, and admittedly, if 43% is now pro-life, that still means the majority is pro-choice. So let me just keep reading. A separate poll also reflected a rise in pro-life sentiment in July, surveying 1,400 adults, which is a pretty good sample. The poll found a 7-point increase from 2024 in the share of Americans who believe abortion should be illegal in all or most cases. The survey also explored public opinion on whether states should permit legal abortion under specific circumstances. Support for legal abortion declined across all scenarios. Notably, support for abortion, quote, if the woman does not want to be pregnant for any reason, unquote, dropped by 5 percentage points. For pro-lifers, this is both encouraging news and a reminder of the work that remains. While incremental progress is evident, the reality is that the majority of Americans are still anti-life. The pro-life mission extends beyond ending abortion. It's about fostering a culture of life in America and in the world. A world where preborn children are protected and every woman has the resources and support she needs to choose life. Okay, so encouraging news as we're moving toward next year will be the midterm election, and then 2 years after that will be the presidential election. We'll see how things develop, but it does seem, from my vantage point, that a lot of times I have seen pro-abortion Democrats overplay their hand. We all saw that with all the legal cases against Donald Trump. Maybe one or two might have panned out, but I think they had 7. I mean, the plan was to destroy him. There were a few states that were going to deny putting his name even on the ballot. Over and over again, the Democrats would overplay their hand. And it always backfired. The more the Democrats pushed these lawsuits, the more Trump improved in the polls. You know, it just seems to be that way, that if there's an overreaction on the part of pro-abortion Democrats. And I do think that they overplayed their hand here after Dobbs by pushing abortion rights through all stages of pregnancy. For any reason at all, they're pushing the envelope so far, so extreme, that average Americans are now rebelling against this, and it's now reflected in some opinion polls, especially here with Gallup, saying that Americans are slowly moving away from being dogmatically pro-choice, and now they're moving closer to being pro-life, at least pro-life in circumstances. So that's good news. Last thing I want to talk about today is the Michigan March for Life, November 6th of this year. So it's coming up in a few months. If you go onto the Kalamazoo Right to Life website, KAZOORTL.org, right there on the home page, you'll see in the middle, you can click that space and get more information about the March for Life. And when you click that, it'll pop up on a screen with a QR code. You scan that QR code, and it will allow you to make a payment on our secure website. $20 for adults, and a maximum of $50 for an entire family. So if you're sending out your kiddos with you, it's to your advantage to take that family plan of $50. We've chartered a bus, and people are signing up, but we still need more people to join us. November 6th, it's a Thursday. There was a mistake made in our last newsletter that said Wednesday. It's Thursday, November 6th, in Lansing, right in front of the Capitol building. And our bus is leaving the Kalamazoo First Assembly parking lot around between 8:15 and 8:30 in the morning. That's at 5550 Oakland Drive in Portage, 49002. And no, I'm sorry, I say that wrong. It's 49024. And the rally begins at 11. Actually, it starts at 10, I think, with music. 11 o'clock, it begins with speeches and some statements by leading pro-life people in the state. At noon, there's a short rally, or a short march to the Hall of Justice, which is only maybe 5 or 6 blocks away. So it's about maybe it's a half a mile walk, round trip back to the Capitol building. Around 1 or 1:15, we get back, we get to our buses, and then we go home. Bring a sack lunch. We'll provide a bottle of water, but you can bring anything you want, but we'll be eating on the bus on our return trip, since we're there during the lunch hour. So bring that sack lunch. This is important. We need to let Gretchen Whitmer know that the pro-life movement is still strong. The Gallup poll, like I said before in the previous little article, we're gaining ground incrementally. So we need to let her know, and the pro-abortion Democrats who control the state Senate, that we're not going to go away without a fight. And going back to this incremental change, this is maybe an anecdotal story, but I've been seeing in the internet and in some news stories that there is something going on in college campuses all across the country. More and more students are coming to faith in Christ. And there's an organization, its full name was Campus Crusade for Christ. It's now referred to as CREW. They have chapters in most college campuses all across the country. And the chapter here at Western Michigan University is seeing substantial increases. There's the first week of school, there's something called Bronco Bash, and crew had a table at Bronco Bash. They were inviting people to come back either that evening or the following evening for some s'mores, and just kind of like a meet and greet. And they were hoping for about 400 or 450 students. They got 650 students that came out to a post-Bronco Bash meet and greet for Campus Crusade for Christ. There is a hunger out there for truth. There are so many students, so many young people, I think, have gone through life questioning, why am I here? What is my purpose in life? Is there a God? And they're coming to faith all across the country. Young people. Now, we've seen a lot of stories about Harvard and Yale and Columbia and some of these schools with pro-Palestinian or pro-Hamas, or at least anti-Semitic rhetoric and demonstrations. But maybe in some of these more normal schools, not these elite Ivy League schools, but maybe in the hinterlands, there's an awakening of spirituality among young people. And when your heart is changed for Christ, a lot of other things change too. Your worldview, the way you look at a new reality. And a lot of times that change is reflected in a change in attitude, a change in convictions and beliefs. And maybe some of this Gallup poll is showing that this shift, this move toward Christianity, toward faith in Christ, that it might be reflected as more young people are becoming pro-life. I don't have anything to back that up, but I'm just wondering if, as more students become Christians, have faith in Christ, that their worldview changes, and they now see the unborn child as a member of the human family that needs to be protected, as we all are created in the image of God. And that's a great awakening for young people. So, March for Life, November 6th. Be there, please consider being there. $20 a person, $50 for a full family. Leaving at around 8:30 at the First Assembly of God parking lot. Returning about 3:30, 4 o'clock, somewhere in there. Bring a sack lunch, but go on the website kazoortl.org. Scan that QR code and sign up for the March for Life. With that, I'll let you go, and I'll see you next time.